Tinitite, ثاني بار. That's why you're doing hormonal.
The film takes place in a few places. Each place has a very strong and specific atmosphere. I could really feel it. How did you choose these places and how did you work in order to build this very specific moods and atmospheres in each of the places?
When I started to write the script, first of all, I didn't start with the idea of a script, storytelling. The first thing I had in mind, I wanted to portray a life I lived while growing up. And this means also spaces. I wanted to present like how I felt in those particular spaces. So that's how every single space is constructed, so you can even smell them. For example, in the bus, the curtains, I was going crazy to find the right oldness of the curtains. What it is the film about is mostly about these all energies that it's loading to a person. And especially if you are young, you feel life has gone through these spaces. Like they have a lot of past and doesn't necessarily fit with the youth spirit. So for me it was very important to achieve this. And when we approach spaces, then my question was like, okay, we don't want to make it an exotic film for the foreigner, so it looks like, very poor and destroyed, because when it's ancient and when you present life on it, it could easily turn to something very poor and degraded. But then we saw it with the character's eyes, like all the layers, because when you live in cities like this, like that are a bit poorer than there are others, there are a lot of things around because they don't have space. So we turned all this into texture and color. We treated literally whatever was around us, not anymore space, but as a potential resource for, bringing this life. So that's how I would say.
This sense of in-betweenness was also present in some spaces, like the wood between the school and the village. This space was for me a kind of metaphor of the state of mind of the protagonist, kind of violence that we feel in the spaces. And how did you come to terms with this violence? How did you want to work with this motive?
I didn't call violence, or I never started with this in my mind, but what I saw it's because of somebody being all the time observed, and there is no chance for you to have a piece of rest from everything. As you said, like every location looked like connected or in between everything. Again, it's like too much. You're already into something without deciding to go. There's a very thin line from the city to the mountain. It just switches so fast. And then the mountain is a danger place and everything could happen, but in the city there are rules, morals, And this, I thought it's maybe not violent, but it's just, I would not say creepy, but there are a lot of chances for things to happen. And if you're not taking care or looking for Venera, you are easily going with the flow, And this for me, it was important that could happen everywhere. And also it's a very dangerous place. There is no rule. That's why I think also I didn't want with the character to explode too much, because for me it's important that she's aware where she is. Because it's a space, like people, how they treat her in the bus, or the people that are with her waiting to the bus. Now I don't really recall all the scenes, but the whole thing is like, even as a place, even as a transport, they enter in the bus and they end up, it's a danger place, and the expectation towards especially female young girls are too high to what is the territory they are living. And this for me it's much more important than, when they say, no, but the women in Kosovo are like lower than man, this is something that we defined. If it's something we define, we can find solution for it. But space and how you treat the space, you have to find your way. Also the danger is violent is because she's kind of animalistic to me, or how I approach even the camera. Like she's finding her own path, territory. 16 years old, you don't tell to them go this way, because if you tell this way, they will try it this way. Because they want to find their own. She enters the whole risk or danger, It's dangerous also for me, like at home. There are too many people, the kids are going all around. There's always a chance to something will burst because they're loaded, This was maybe the violence that you are saying. Actually, it was not a traditional casting. So we put a letter where we are saying like we want this kind of age, but then we went to all the towns in Kosovo and then in Macedonia and in Albania in some places. I was open to any age. I wanted to meet people, to see characters. But with girls was it special because I was going like to school, staying in the garden of the schools and just observing. It's a bit hard when you make something formal in Kosovo. If you go with a camera or with a paper, immediately there is something tricky about it. So I was going to the schools, but the number of the casting went higher and higher. And my producer was like, no, we're not gonna find Venera. Like we are becoming a cliche because it's like looking for Venera, the Venera is not found. But then I was insisting that I go one morning to one school and I was in a cafe nearby and this girl came out of the school and immediately as soon as she came, really like she separated from the crowd and went away. But the distance between being away and being with the others was very interesting and how she walked. But also she started to sing and she was not sure if she wants to be heard or no. As if she was shy, but still she had the desire. And as if she was saying like, one day I could sing, but no, maybe I need a bit of more energy, you know. I think that was what I was looking for. And I was very taking care that camera as a device or film as an artifice becomes that final push that such an age needs. So I met her and we combined with the other girl who was very smart. I was happy to meet both of them. But then we took those two and we went to the town we were shooting the film. The mother was not and the father, but the rest you see is all from the town because for me, the film started actually when we moved there. For example, the grandma in the film is my own grandma, so that is already known who will be the woman playing that role. So it's a combination of everything, how we did the casting.
How did you direct the actors, specifically the male actors, in order to get this animalistic violence?
Why the father is so strict, you know, like why? And this I had this question a lot while writing the script. And I knew like I have to meet the actor to know what they want. But honestly, I was raised with that kind of father and all the guys around me. To me, it's like not violent. Violence is when you take action. You are violent only when you take action, but when you save a status quo as a power of the family, but you do nothing, you become funny. And this is also a danger state because you are in between. You are allowing and not allowing. It was important to see it differently now that for her, she understands. They don't know better than me. They have a limit to where they go, and I will go beyond that limit. But when I met the actors, for me it was also important that I choose all the guys that are there, like the father, the boys. They are different ages of the boys, and this was in propose. That you see the smallest one is the most cuddable one and the most like free, but as they grow up, there is some, like, how do you call it in English? Like they prevent themselves, they don't express. But to me, the father of Venera, like if I see him in the face, it's completely different from what he shows. The casting took like a long time, but when I met him, the first thing I was surprised about was that he has 9 daughters in the real life. 9 daughters. And I was, so what do you say to them? And he said, no, I don't say nothing. If they have something to say, they come to me. Because they don't know how to do it. And really, there is no such thing like as in foreign wars that sometimes parents sit down with children and they communicate or like they discuss an issue. There is no such a thing in our families, you know. So this is another danger as well.
It makes me think of a very beautiful and strong scene when the main protagonist go home after the party and she meets her mother in the house, and at some point they start to dance together. Something very different from the daily life structures in this family takes place. Could you say a little bit about this?
Art within the art, you know, the dance is already an art. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be super bad. I cannot make it. But for me, it was important because of my mother. Like, for me, it was always striking how she could dance maybe, but the most important thing is like how she would be seen by her kids, because this is her audience. You know, like when you live constantly in the house, within that daily routine, a dance becomes so strange if you are dancing around your own kids, because I have never seen you express yourself like that. This was why I wanted this scene so much, because she's pushing a boundary as well, and she's calling the kids, But also how we did the scene, they didn't know the script. They were very shy, both of them. So for me, this was also important. They were telling the mother to Venera, "No, but you start and I see you how you do it and then I do it." And this is like they don't have the liberty to share something with their body. It's a complete different world now for her. And also because I thought sometimes when you don't talk too much but you allow your body to express something else, something will come out. And actually the scene is never cut because she found her impulse. Within the dancing, she found what she wanted, And this is beautiful for me when it happens in cinema, because you lead, but then it's something that happens that is just magic, and you have to really take care for that moment.
Actually, the scene is cut by the father because he comes in and the scene stops, and
That was already written. He didn't care.
Can you probably intervene about the question of body? It's very strong, the fact that all these people are almost always together. You had to cope with a sort of collective bodies. And so the question is more about the cinematographers. I mean, he had to integrate in an incredible way, and actually is not from Kosovo. So was it an advantage or a disadvantage to get a sort of invisibility or to take completely part in this collective body?
Actually, when you said about the body, it was something that I was really pushing towards it, because often I have questions like why her body is cut or her head, and for me it's not important if she's cut, because I wanted this for her to be surrounded and loaded by energies. But when we decided which home will be the place where we will shoot, then cinematographer and his assistant, which are both foreigners, started to come there because they become a part of this collective body. They got used to him. Before shooting, I don't do rehearsal because I didn't want them to feel about, we're gonna make a film. It's most like we will live in this house. We never said on the shooting, okay, action. Cut, yeah, but action, no. Because we got to know with each other and all the crew when is the right moment. Because we did the rehearsal before that moment. Not the rehearsal, it's more like allowing that energy that I wanted to happen, and then, okay, this is the best angle that we have to catch. But yeah, he is from Venezuela, and I really liked his work. He's a well-known cinematographer, and I met him through a friend because I was doing a project in Peru. And as soon as we started to talk, I really liked, he really wants to find resources in whatever surrounds. Image for him is a chance to show layered the diversity of that moment. For me, it was why the film was being made.
Hadi Zinara! Hadi! Hoppa! Kısasın ya! Leka? Hadi!
Your feature film is also kind of related to this issue of wildness. Is there any connection between your feature film and the short film that you shot in the jungle?
This is a very good question. I've never thought about that. But what I think now, actually, having made the film in Peru in the jungle and going back to make my feature film, I took a very good distance, I think. In jungle, I didn't speak the Spanish language, and you meet and you speak to them in a complete different language, which is body language. And the same I did with the film, Looking for Venera. I distanced myself. And also, by doing that, I was also with my cinematographer and the foreign crew, the sound guy. He did an amazing job with the sound, a language he didn't understand, because he was taking it as a rhythm. I like that the technical part didn't really feel, got attached to the characters, but they were also waiting how they will surprise us. And it was important for me.
Muito inferno, senhor. Se faz masculinity. Hoppa!
There is a strong sense of ambiguity in your film. As a spectator, I was always questioning myself what I am actually watching, what is happening on screen. And it starts with the opening scene, with the sexual intercourse in the woods. And I was unsure, is it a rape or it's like a very challenging scene, kind of uncomfortable to watch. Could you elaborate a bit about the strong ambiguity in the film?
It's just going away from that, like, oh, if you have sex, you have pleasure. It's not like that. It's the same with dancing. You go through an effort. I mean, for them, it's pleasure to have sex there. It's like fun, but to have that sex there is not fun anymore because of the ground, you know. So this diversity, you know, human desire, I think it's part of that scene. The title is Looking for Venera, and we don't know who is Venera, and why we're looking for Venera. Of course, it's a small place, and one of the first things you say about my country is that also as a mentality, we're very narrow. We check what the others are doing. It's a very talkative place, you know. You immediately wait for something to happen and then get to talk about that. This is suffocating, first of all. But then also why the film is called Looking for Venera is because I wanted to play a bit with the position of the audience and why we are looking to something there. Yeah, like, are we looking for Venera? Or is Venera looking for herself? Are we becoming part of this? Because as a film, like, mostly, like, it doesn't change so much within the story. Like, there is not a big burst or, like, too much twist within the film. But I wish I achieved this, that we as an audience change the way we see these people. It's not like them changing too much, but we try to understand them better. And I didn't want to judge them. This looking is part of that, you know.
Yeah, it's a story of emancipation, but this emancipation is not going in the classical way of the individual. The climax at the end is not in the sense of rupture, that's typically modern, or this modern idea of a rupture, but more in the sense of finding new negotiation, in a sense. They finally start to speak, really, the people at the end of the film.
I liked what you said, like that she finds a new fit into something that she belongs. I think this is the most mature thing everybody should do. Like, we all like to change, to go, but soon we find, for example, me, myself, I travel. My home is Kosovo and then Prague. And always when you go to fit somewhere else, you have difficulties. But then to find your own fit into somewhere else, for me it's so important. So when you said about talking, there is something else. What I wanted to do is, like, she becomes aware that everybody needs something in that family. So she finds her own way, because the talking in the end is like a desire. There is so much holding these people. It's just a moment and they explode, you know. And for her, maybe it becomes a bit also funny in the end, like that. This was actually very difficult, but very beautiful when it happened, that to find the tone of the ending, because the tone, how you end, it's not a film that is based on so much closely to the script. You have to play with energy and the tone of things and flow. The whole thing was that we end up in circles. Like, no matter where we go, there is still a circle. So when I saw what is happening, I knew that I got what I wanted from these people, and I got that, you know, that you are saying now, talking.
Hadi Nana. Sen. Hadi. Hoppa. Kısasın ya. Leka.